today I'm going to show you how to make a Christmas mousse. Does that make him Christmas? You're going to need a 350 chocolate brown. I completely lost my track then, I must concentrate. Okay, so it's the holiday mood getting to me. So, or getting the better of me. So tie the ends of your 350 together. So bring your 350 together and squeeze here bubbles of about 6 to 7 inches or so. Give that a good twist. Next, take a 350 in mocha brown, almost fully inflated, and twist off a bubble of 3 to 4 fingers, and then just pass that through the centre here. Okay? And then you want to feed this through here. And we want to twist off a bubble that is longer than this gap here. So you're going to have to judge it a little bit. Okay. And then feed that through. And you want this kind of curve there. Okay. And then with what's left, just take that tip and wrap it here. And you may want to just tie it to the end of that chocolate brown 350. Okay, so that's what you've got. Next, take a 260 with a 4 to 5 finger tail and just wrap that into that junction there. Okay, and then you want to bring your 260 up around the side here, twist it into that bubble at the top, and then back round the other side. Just going to look at mine and make sure that both sides are reasonably even. And then twist it in there. Okay? I'm going to go around a second time. Okay. Okay, and just leave this poking out the back for the moment. That's what you've got. Next, take a chocolate brown 160 with a 2 to 3 finger tail, and you want to wrap that again into this part here. And just bring it round here. We're just infilling this gap here a little bit, okay? And then wrap that into that middle section. Okay, just wrap it round. And then you can break this off and just tie. Okay, and wrap in that end. Okay. So that's what you've got at the moment. Next, take a 160 chocolate brown. Just run your fingers on the end to the nozzle and tie. And so that's going to make a flat strap. And we're just going to use that to tie these two balloons here together. Okay. So that's what you've got at the moment. Take a piece of the tip end of a black 260 and we just want to inflate a very small bubble. So we just want to inflate the tip and twist off a bubble that's about 2 to 3 fingers and tie. Okay. And then at this end, tie a couple of knots. So leave yourself perhaps about 2 to 3 inches there and tie 2 knots the same spot, okay? And then just trim off this bit here. Okay, take a white 5-inch round, fully inflate, just let the air out, and then just put in 1 puff of air. Okay, and then you're going to tie high on the neck. So tie a soft knot, which means don't pull it too tightly, and then just grab hold of that knot and roll it to the end of that neck, so it's as close to the nozzle as possible. Squeeze the air in your 5-inch round to the nozzle and put your pupil on top and just push those knots through into the base of the white balloon. Twist. And take a 160, I'm using Mocha Brown, and just wrap that around and tie. Okay, and then once you've tied once, just tie a second time. Okay, and make another one of these. Take your eyeballs and with the end of that 160, just wrap your eyeball into position on one side of the bridge of the nose here. And do the same thing with your other eyeball. Take a 160 Mocha Brown with a tail of 2 fingers or so, 2 to 3 fingers, and wrap the neck and nozzle in between these 2 bubbles here, in between the chocolate brown bubbles. Okay, so just wrap that nozzle through there. Okay, and then bring that bubble down, round and up. Okay, and I'm just going to have a look at that to see how mine's looking. I think that's okay. And then I'm going to twist off a bubble, snip off the end, and tie. Okay, and then I'm going to feed that tail through the top there and wrap in to the junction here. Take hold of the tail that we left when we tied this bit here and just pull that through and behind. So you're trapping that one and you're pulling it down and back. Okay? So you've got hold of that one, you want some tension in it. Okay? Put it down and back and tie onto this little tail here. Okay, so this one is sitting behind these 2. Next, take a chocolate brown with a tail of a couple of fingers and just tie those ends together. Okay, so bring those 2 balloons together, pinch here and give a twist to the top part of the balloon and then bring those 2 together, wrap them through one another. Okay? So these are going to be the ears, so just wrap those into that bubble at the top. And we can give a bit of shaping. Take a 160 in Mocha Brown with a tail of a couple of fingers and make a loop, make a flower petal loop of about a handspan. And then make another loop to match. Okay. Similar sort of size, doesn't have to be exact, but similar. And then with the rest of this balloon, just make some randomly sized flower petal loops. Okay, I'm just going to snip off the end, because mine's a little bit full. I thought that might pop. Okay. I'm just going to let a little bit of air out and tie the end and then just wrap that in to this section here. Okay, so that's what you've got. And then just take this cluster and wrap it into this junction here with this bubble that we've left from that 350. Okay, and now we can start to arrange things. Okay, so we're going to move that 350 bubble to the back. I'm just going to pull on that knot and nozzle, and I'm going to turn this bubble into a pinch twist. You can pinch twist it earlier on if you like, but it's just easier, I find, to work with the bubble and the pinch twist when we're adding all these bits here. So that's what we've got at the moment. Inflate an 11-inch blush and let the air out. Take a 160 blush and fold it so that you've got the tip end is perhaps a couple of inches longer than the nozzle end. So fold that in half and feed it into the 11-inch blush, okay? And then inflate the 11-inch. We just want to put a little bit of air in here, give ourselves some space to work. Okay, and then inflate the 260. Okay, so you're keeping hold of the air in the 11-inch. Okay. I've inflated that using 5 strokes of the Qualitex hand pump. So pull the two ends together and tie. Tie once and tie a second time. Okay? So we want to let a little bit of air out of here, but not too much. Okay, so when it's about this point, a little bit flatter. When it's about this point, I want to grab hold of the top. This is actually easier to do on a table, but stop the air coming out, grab hold of the top and pull the top bits of the 260 together at the same time as you're going to push here. Okay, so that's the sort of shape you're aiming for. And make another one of those. Take hold of the tip here and just pull it around the back of the head and wrap the tip into this junction here. Take your antlers and tie the 260s together in a loose duplet. Okay, so that's what we're doing. And then take these and just cast them, that 260 underneath that bubble and around. You can pull them in, you can wrap that 260 around that bubble and then just pressure fit them however you want them to sit. Okay, so I'm quite happy with how that one's sitting. This one's a bit loose, so I'm just going to wrap it around this bubble at the back here until it firms up a little bit. And by doing a sort of a stretch duplet with the antlers, we give ourselves options. If we tie them together too tightly, sometimes you have a bit of a problem making the antlers sit in position. Okay. Next, take a couple of 260s in greens of your choice, and mine are fully inflated. Okay, and twist off bubbles at the end. Okay, just pass one round like that to lock it in position. Okay, and we're just going to candy cane. So, however you prefer to candy cane, people do it different ways. So, just use your preferred method. If you've got a method that works for you, then stick with it. Why change it if it's working for you? Okay, so that's what we've got. Take a 160 in white with a little tip at the tail and just wrap that in to those two bubbles there. Okay, and then I'm just going to follow the gap between the two spirals spiral that round until we get to the end. Okay, and then I'm just going to twist that off. Take another 160 with just a little tip at the end, and again wrap the 160 into the 2 bubbles that you started with. Okay, and in between the 2 green balloons, we just want to spiral our 160 round. Okay, twist at the end. Okay, and then with the little tips that we've got at the end, I'm just going to wrap those tips in and curl those 160s right over. Okay, so the ends aren't really going to be seen, so I'm not going to worry too much. Just going to pinch twist the bubbles that we started with, just to finish it off. Okay, so we've got a nice candy cane spiral we're going to do this with. Okay, we'll take a 160 and wrap that into one of the ends. Okay, and then we just want to position this candy cane around our moose's head. Okay, so we just want to wrap this loosely. Don't want it to be pulled tightly into this pinch twist here with the big bubble that we started off with. So we're just loosely attaching the 2 ends here. Okay. And then we can just cut off the end of this 160. Okay, and with the tail that we've got left here in this chocolate brown, we can just loop that through one of the spirals, and we can just tie loosely together. Okay, so that's just going to hold that candy cane in position. So that's what we've got so far. Next, take a 160 in line and make some 3-finger loop twists. So I'm making 3. Okay. And then I've just got the tip of a 260 red. I'm just going to wrap in, trim off the end. Okay, and then I'm just going to cut off the end here. And tie. Okay. And make as many of these as you want to, so little bits of holly. So I'm just going to pull that through that cluster. I'm not going to pull it tightly. Just want it to sit there comfortably, not be too cinched in. Okay. And I tend to like to add them to the wreath as well, so I'm just going to pull that end of that 160 through and round, and again fairly loosely wrap that in and just trim off the end. You can add a few more bits of holly as you wish. I always create a body for my moose, even if it's quite a small body and he's in a sitting position. So first of all, you're going to want two 646s, inflated to about 2 to 3 fingers or so. Okay, and we're going to interlock these. So we're going to tie one inside the other like this. And these are tricky to work with. When I first started, I found the 646s almost impossible to handle, but it's just practice. Okay, so tie that, and then tie this one. I'm just going to soften this one a little bit, and then bring that one up here and tie the two ends together. Okay. So that's what you've got. 4 mocha brown 5-inch rounds. And I'm just going to inflate these to about 3.5 inches or so. It's about 2 strokes of the Polytex hand pump. So just round those off, tie together. I'm just making duplets. Make another one of these, and then take your duplets and just twist them together. And then you can just slip one of those round under, wrap around a few times. Okay, so that's our very simple body for our mousse. Take another 5-inch chocolate brown and just inflate with 1 puff of air. Okay. And we're going to turn this into a split duplet. So we're just going to put our fingers either side of the nozzle and twist. Okay, and then take that neck and nozzle and just wrap it through and hold on to that and make another one. So just 1 puff there, tie and split. Okay, wrap around and take the two and just twist together. Okay, so that's what you've got. Just pass it, take a little cluster, just pass it around where you've tied your 646 together. Next, take your Christmas head and take this soft bubble here and just pinch there and twist one side. So you've split that bubble in half and just wrap that around. Okay. So just arrange those bubbles however they look best. You're going to need 8 5-inch rounds. I'm inflating to about 4 inches. Just making duplets, rounding them off and tying together. Okay? So you're going to need 4 duplets like this. Pass your 160 through that 350 there and loosely around the 646 here. And I'm just going to tie that together quite loosely. I don't want much tension. This is just to hold the head at the right angle to the body. It doesn't wander around. Okay. Take a mocha brown 5-inch round and just put 1 puff of air in. And roll that knot up the neck. Squeeze some of the air into the neck, leaving about a 4-inch bubble, and then pinch twist this side of the balloon. Okay, so we made a little hand. Take a mocha brown, 350 with a tail across about 3 fingers or so, and then just wrap that little hand into that pinch twist. I'm going to feed this balloon through this gap here. And then I'm going to look at my mousse face on. I'm just going to put a little bit of shaping on his hand there. see how long we want his arms to be, because we want everything to be in proportion. So I can't give you a precise measurement, you're just going to have to judge it for yourself, okay? Snip off the end, tie. And then wrap that hand in. Okay, and just snip off the excess. So take a red 350 with a tail of perhaps about 5 or 6 fingers, and we're going to make a series of bubbles that are about 4 fingers. Okay, so 4 finger bubbles. Okay, and then connect those together. And then another 4 finger bubble and another 4 finger bubble. Okay, bring that over to the opposite side and just connect that. And one more 4 finger bubble and another 4 finger bubble. Okay, and then bring that over. Okay, and you can use that neck and nozzle just to wrap everything together. Okay, and then twist off one more 4 finger bubble and then just snip off the end and tie. Okay, pass that through the centre and pull that round. Okay, take a 160 white and make a series of 4 little loops. 3 or 4 depending on what you want to do. Okay. Give the loop a squeeze and then wrap that into the nozzle of that red 350 just to secure it in place. Okay, everything squeeze, bring your 160 around, split the bottom, bring it up and the side, twist into the loops there, everything squeeze, bring down the side, make a twist there so that intersects here, bring it back up and twist. Okay, and then just snip off the end. Okay, and tie, and I'm just going to bring that back down through the base and just wrap in at the bottom. Okay, and a little present for Christmas to hold. I'm just going to take a little bit of 160 that I've got left over and wrap that present into Christmas candy. Just going to wrap that around the top and into these and here and then back through. Take your duplets and just wrap them together. Okay, and make another one of these. So you've got 2 of these. Next, take a 260 with a tail of perhaps about 4 fingers or so and make 3 loops of about 3 to 4 fingers. Okay, give this a squeeze. Take one of your clusters of 4 and just wrap that into the nozzle. one of the nozzles. Okay, give everything else a squeeze. So that's what you've got. Take your sand weight and wrap that into that cluster there. And take your other cluster and position it so that the sand weight is in the middle and the balloons sit on top of one another. Okay. Pull your 260 around, and at this point here, just twist off a bubble, move it around. It is easier if you do this on a table, and then bring that 260 around and just wrap into that little bow that you've made at the top. Okay? Whoops. So that's what you've got at the moment. Another 260 with a tail of a similar size, and wrap the nozzle into the bow at the top. Okay? Bring this down the side. And then at this point, just twist off a bubble so that that kind of sits in that section there. And then bring this back up to the top. And it's entirely up to you. If you want to make a few more loops, you can do. Or you can just wrap that in and snip off the end. And just wrap that in. Okay. I've realised I was a little bit hasty in snipping the end of that 260, so I'm just going to wrap in a 160, pull that through the centre, back through the bottom there, round, back up the top, and then just wrap that around. Okay, so there you go. Just position everything in place. Okay, that's going to hold everything in place. Christmas mousse and a 260 with the air removed, and just pass that through the body there. Okay, you're going to pull that down and take your present stack, and I'm actually going to attach Christmas mousse to the side. So that's the top of the present stack, the way you would normally have it. I've turned it on its side and I'm going to attach him here. Okay, so I'm just going to pull the straps from that 260 in through the centre, tricky to get hold of, through the centre of the present stack. Through into the base, and then figure of 8 around the balloons in the base. Okay, and then do the same thing with Christmas on the other side. Okay, so there he is on your present stack. Take a white 260 strap and I'm just going to wrap that through the legs and through the hoop cluster. I'm just going to pull that through into the stack. Same thing on this side. I'm just going to wrap that into the bow there. Take a white 160 or 260 and I'm just going to make a few loops. 3 loops for a bow. I'm just going to break that off. Tie that. And then I'm just going to wrap this in on the other side, just to hide this little section here. Oops, my bow's come undone. So just pull that into this loop here. Just hiding that, disguising that a little bit. You've got a matching bow here to this side. It's up to you whether you do a 260 or a 160 there, it's a personal choice. One last thing, I've got a little bit of holly here that I'm just going to put at the base of his feet. Wrapping that in. Position that. I'm going to stand back and see how I want that to be positioned. So there you've got Chris Moose. 2 versions of him. We've got a small version here, where I'm sitting on a cake board. So made in exactly the same way. We've got the big 646 for the body. And instead of the 646 for the legs, I've used a 350 for the legs. And then I've looped another 350 around into those legs and brought everything together and popped them on a cake board there.